I want to talk to you about websites. I truly believe that creating a website and having a home base for your brand is an essential part of building a sustainable business. So today I wanted to share with you some of my top tips that might be flying under the radar for you when it comes to optimizing your website for your business.
This is the Authentic Brand Builders Podcast with Michelle Knight.
Welcome back, Authentic Brand Builder. I am so excited that you are joining me on the podcast today to talk about one of my favorite topics. I know I have a lot of favorite topics when it comes to building a business and sharing your brand with the world, but I am a big advocate for websites. And today I want to share with you some of those top tips. This is really a continuation of last week's episode because last week, if you caught the podcast episode, I shared with you mistakes that entrepreneurs are making with their marketing. Some of the things that I'm really seeing come up quite a bit with my clients, with people who are coming to me with questions, and just, my obsession with seeing what other people are doing online and what other people are talking about. And one of the things that I mentioned in terms of mistakes around marketing is neglecting a website. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the importance of a website because last week I touched on the fact that you don't need a website to make money. And I do truly stand behind that. I know that it is possible to start a TikTok and, get sales from a link in your bio. I know that you can create YouTube videos and send people to maybe a landing page, not a full-blown website or even a checkout page. But when we're thinking about sustainable marketing and the approach that I really teach my clients on making sure that you are optimizing for search engines, I believe a website is so important. The other part of this is the unpredictability of so many of these platforms and the changes that might happen and how adaptable you are willing to be or are able to be to meet those changes. When you have a website, it is your narrative. It is your safe space, really. And more specifically, it is where you control the journey. And I talk a lot about the customer buying journey here at Brandmerry because, in my opinion, every single entrepreneur should be learning about this super early in their journey. But unfortunately, not enough people are. And when we think about the consumer buying journey and we think about the different stages of that process, from just experiencing symptoms or pain or discomfort or, not quite sure what the actual problem is, but knowing that something is off, to actually making the purchase decision, your website allows you to hit every single stage in a very strategic way. And that's one of the tips I'm going to talk about. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but having this roadmap and having the control to direct the narrative, to be able to answer those top questions from your ideal customer, to be able to showcase your authority and empathy, your storytelling, all of this gets to happen in one solid place. And that is why your website is so crucial. And then when you add that additional layer of search engine optimization, where people who are really ready to invest can discover your website and get everything that they need in one spot, you close the gap in how quickly someone discovers your brand to when they make the purchase decision. It's also amazing if you don't want to rely on ads, which I don't recommend, or you don't want to rely on consistently having to create new, fresh content, which again, I don't recommend doing that every single day. So I hope this helped explain a little bit more on why having a website is so important. I'm not going to go into all the nitty-gritty details of what your whole website needs to have. I'm really talking more, on an advanced level of some of the things that I see missing when we're wanting to increase conversions on our website. But inside of my program, Brandmerry Academy, I do give you a full breakdown of all of the pages to include on your website, my top tips for writing copy and including photos and design elements, as well as some of my top platforms that I recommend. But I know some of you are going to have questions about that, so I will just get that out of the way right now. I highly recommend Squarespace. It is my go-to website platform for so many reasons, but the main reason is that it is user friendly. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who struggle with tech or aren't super tech savvy and don't have a ton of time or money to give to someone to run their website, make updates, and, all those different things to learn a new platform. And for me, Squarespace is the most intuitive. Now, I know there are a lot of options out there. I know a lot of people say WordPress is the best. I know a lot of people say Showit is the best. I've worked with clients who prefer Wix. You do, at the end of the day, need to figure out what kind of platform works for you. But any of my clients that come to me and they're like, what do you go with? I say Squarespace out of the gate, and I highly recommend they get started there, and they all pretty much love it. Okay. So if you are someone who wants just like the bare bones, Squarespace is where it's at because you're still hitting all those marks and strong SEO. And if you are someone who likes to customize things, you can also really do that with Squarespace, which I love, which is who I am. I love to customize my website. So I want to get that out of the way because I know that's a top question that I get when it comes to websites. All right, let's get into some of these tips that I have for you on ways to increase conversions and better optimize your website. So the first tip that I have piggybacks off of our intro, and it's all about designing a roadmap. So when we're talking about the consumer buying journey, and we're talking about the different stages of that process, the 5 stages, from symptom to problem aware to solution aware to seeking out which brands can ultimately help them solve their problem to making the purchase decision, all of that can be done on the website. So someone can literally go from the very first stage to the last stage just from the information on your website, which is pretty dang awesome in my opinion. And it's up to you as the marketer to strategically design your website as a roadmap. Now, the number one place that I really encourage people to spend a lot of time and energy and strategically design is their homepage. Now, the reason for this is that when you do implement SEO strategies, you are going to get the majority of your website traffic to your homepage. Now, we're not talking about blog posts. That's completely separate. That's a different SEO strategy. It's also something I teach inside of the academy. But we've got site-wide SEO and we've got blog SEO. When it comes to blog SEO, people would essentially type in something, let's say, into Google, and then they would go directly to that blog post. More on that in a minute. But if they're typing in your industry or photographer near me or looking for a massage therapist in San Diego or career coach in San Francisco, and they're coming to your website, or even something general like brand coaching, that's where I come up. We want to make sure that that homepage that they're landing on is strategically designed as a roadmap. So when you're designing that homepage, you want to take into consideration the consumer buying process. Do you have language that speaks directly to the symptoms? Do you have resources like a blog that can help them better identify what problem they are experiencing? Are you talking directly to the problem that they are experiencing and the solution that they could ultimately have? Do you have things in place that can help them go from problem to solution? Things like a freebie, testimonials, things that show social proof. That was really hard for me to say. Show social proof. There it is. If someone's coming to your page and they already know that they're looking for something very specific, like a branding coach, do you have language that speaks directly to them and gives them your offers, right? That gives them a direct line to what you offer so that they can see if that's the right fit for them. Do you have storytelling elements so that when someone is coming to explore your brand, you're building that connection? Do you see how having this very strategic roadmap is so important and actually quite easy to do? I'm going to give you my 4-part framework that I teach for the homepage. It's so easy. It's called home. Okay. The very beginning is your hook. This is what hooks in your ideal customer. It speaks specifically to the pain and the solutions that they ultimately want, as well as really kind of sharing your authority. What are you good at? How are you going to help them solve their problem? As you can see, this language right here already helps with those first few stages. The next O is for opportunity, giving them an opportunity to take the relationship a step further. Now, I default to having some sort of opt-in here because I don't ever want to lose somebody if they're not quite ready to purchase. I want to give them a middle ground. And that's why I have a lead magnet, watch this free class, download this workbook, take this quiz, whatever works for you. Some sort of opportunity. The M is for memorable. This is where storytelling really comes into play. You want to share a bit of your story, your brand story. Build that know, like, and trust factor right there. This is really important for those later stages of the buying process. And finally, E is your expertise. How can you drive up that authority? Are there testimonials that you can showcase? Have you been featured anywhere? Do you have really great blogs that can help share a little bit more about your experience and expertise? That can go there as well. It's a very simple layout, but you can see that it's a designed roadmap that can really help someone no matter what stage of the buying process they are at. Now, the second tip I have for you is all about your messaging. And I'm not going to go into how important messaging is because I know you already know that it is key. Your messaging is freaking everything. But something I don't think a lot of people talk about when it comes to messaging on your website is being purposeful with your messaging. It's not just about having great messaging and speaking directly to your ideal customer and highlighting the benefits of working with you. It's about the purpose behind the messaging for each stage of the roadmap. If someone is on your About Me page, which we know is so important for those final stages of the buying process, what do you ultimately want to drive home with them? What are the main key points that you want them to know about your story and your business? This is where it's really important that your messaging is focused on values. It's focused on your mission. These are all things that help build an emotional connection and lead people to making a purchase decision. It's also why the CTA on this page should be really focused on working with you and your services and your products, because if someone is at this page, they most likely are considering investing in whatever you have to offer. And so knowing how to kind of craft your message for each of the different pages and each of the different sections of your website is so important. This is why the first thing that you want to do when you are updating your website is to really map out the pages. Think about where they fit into the consumer buying process. Think about the purpose or the main CTA on that page. And yes, you can typically have more than one unless it's a sales page. But how can you modify your messaging to match that purpose? It's not about rewriting every single page and making every single page different, but it might mean you're highlighting different aspects of your messaging. Maybe on one page, it's really about the benefits of working with your brand. Maybe on another page, you're speaking to that person at the beginning stages and you want to connect with where they are now. Maybe your story is a shared experience with your ideal customer and you really want to dial up the messaging around empathy. So being really strategic with these pages and the copy that you're creating is so important. And making sure that your messaging is not only on point for your brand, but that it's also purposeful to the consumer buying journey. And that leads us to tip number 3. Please don't be afraid to repeat yourself. I can't tell you how many times this comes up, pretty much in all aspects of being a business owner, but it is okay to repeat yourself, my friend, especially on your website. Now, the reason for that is we need to keep in mind that not every single person that comes to your website is coming to the exact same page. Again, when you implement site-wide SEO, you're going to see that your homepage gets a lot of organic traffic. And that's why we have that design roadmap I shared with you before. But people might also discover your About Me page, or someone might start sharing as an affiliate, or they went through your program and absolutely loved it and start sharing it with all their friends. They might be landing on a product page. So people are going to be coming to different pages, maybe bypassing your homepage altogether. This is why repeating yourself is so important. Not everyone's going to go through every single page on your website, although that is amazing and it would be ideal. It's not always going to happen. So repeating yourself and the key pieces of your brand is essential. A few things that I think are really important to repeat are your hook statement, which again really just clearly articulates who your ideal customer is, where they're at in the journey, where they want to be, and how you help them get there, okay? The second is testimonials. Ooh, I have clients who come to me and they're like, okay, well, I put this testimonial on the homepage. Can I also put it on the sales page? You can put it on every single page. In fact, I recommend it. Repeating your testimonials is okay, especially if you're just getting started and you don't have a lot of them. I have an entire page of testimonials for one of my programs, but it took me a long time to get there. In the beginning, I would share the 5 testimonials that I had on my homepage in the expertise section, on my individual work with me page. I even had them on my contact page. And in the beginning, I even had a testimonial page because why the heck not? It's okay to repeat those different things because again, someone might not have seen them and we want to make sure that they do because that social proof is key. Now, another thing that I think is really important to share is your bio blurb. Your bio blurb is a small statement that, yes, might include your hook, but it also goes a little bit further and shares a little bit more about your story. Only a few sentences, maybe ties in a bit about your mission, but it's there to build trust. Now, I mentioned already about a small bio blurb on the homepage. We also have your About Me page, which is more of the storytelling aspect with the different chapters. But then on your individual sales pages, you want to make sure that you have storytelling included and on every single blog post as well. And that kind of ties into the next tip, which is understand your entry points. Now, I've talked about this already, but let's dissect it a bit more. As you start to expand your marketing and you focus a lot on driving traffic to your website, which I think is so essential because again, of everything we've talked about, it's just a great place where you control the narrative and can lead people through the consumer buying journey. As you start to get really good at that, you can start to look at your data and see where people are coming in and what you might need to include on those pages to make sure you're hitting all the points. So an example would be your blog. As you start to get really good at blogging, maybe you have a podcast with show notes, maybe you're writing your blog, maybe you're taking a YouTube video and transcribing it. Either way, I think having a blog is so important. You might notice that a lot of people are coming to your blog and not your homepage because these specific blog posts are taking off or they're being shared on different platforms. So you want to make sure that that page, that blog page, covers some of our really important things we talked about on the homepage. Your hook statement, your opportunity to opt in, making it memorable, and your expertise, which is the blog itself. So understanding how people are entering your website and making sure that you're including those key points can be really, really great for business. This is why I always recommend that you have an opt-in on your blog, that you have the storytelling aspect, and so much more. Because they might not leave that blog to go explore the rest of your website, but we don't want to lose them if they are a really great candidate for one of your products and your services. Again, this is something that might come a little bit later on when you have the data and you are driving consistent traffic to your website. And it's one of the reasons I recommend you are looking at your analytics every 30 to 60 days just to make sure that your website is optimized for the traffic that you are getting. The next tip I have for you is your opt-in. As I've already mentioned, but I feel like I need to mention it again, it is so crucial that you have the next step for your ideal customer. And not every single person who lands on your beautiful website is going to be ready to whip out their credit card and sign up for whatever it is you have to offer. Yes, that will happen. Yes, we love that for you. Yes, that is the plan, but it is not going to happen 100% of the time. Do you really want to lose those potential leads? No, absolutely not. So what is the thing that we want to give them? An opt-in. Get them on your email list. Get them to take that next step with no monetary investment, just their name and their email address, but it gives you a continuation of reaching out to them, building trust with them, which most likely is what they need if they haven't made a purchase decision. It allows you to help move them from symptom to problem to solution to making the actual purchase via your email. It's a fantastic way, like I said, to stay in contact with them, whether that's for a few days, a few weeks, a few months, or even a year. I've had people who've discovered my website at the symptom stage. They found me on Pinterest. I had a really powerful blog post that supported them. They stayed on my email list, and When they were ready to invest, because I was there, because I had built that connection, they invested in my brand. We can't force anyone to make a purchase decision that isn't at that stage. No matter what you say, I am sorry, no matter what you say. And it's not about being pushy. We are not here to do that as authentic brand builders. So this is such a beautiful, authentic way to say, you might not be ready to take that next step. So I've got something for you. Let's continue to build our relationship and let's see what happens. So again, your opt-in can really depend on your business and it should be strategic for your business. Not everyone should have an ebook. Not everyone should have a webinar. Not everyone should have a video training. Not everyone should have a quiz. You want to think about your ideal customer and maybe what's holding them back from making that purchase decision. How can you help, again, move them through the buying journey with this freebie? Or if you're anti-freebie, you could also do a low-priced offer. I still gravitate towards the freebie, but again, I suggest that it is very specific to your ideal customer and very specific to what they are experiencing. The more general you are, the more you will have people on your email list that just don't purchase from you. But again, I would love to see this opt-in on your homepage, on your About Me page, on the bottom of your Work With Me page, on every single blog post, and on a contact page. Because why the heck not? Why not make sure that it's super visible? You can also add in things like a slide-in pop-up, which I find less aggressive. You can also do an announcement bar, which is something that I use on my website. And you can also put your free gift in the navigation so it's not missed. And the final tip I have for you is to be so clear with your CTAs, your call to actions, and not just clear on the step that you want them to take, but please, please, please do not make these CTAs just text that is underlined. I'm going to need a button and I'm going to need a contrasting button on your webpage. Too many entrepreneurs are having their buttons blend into the copy or blend into the design. It's so easy to miss these. And we want people to see them so that they actually take the action that we're encouraging them to take. It can be as simple in increasing conversions as changing the color of your button. And I know this seems like a really simple thing to do, but I have audited enough websites and I've worked with enough entrepreneurs to know that it's often overlooked. So I wanted to end with this because in my opinion, it's the easiest change that you can make. Right now, I would love for you to make a plan to go look over your website and see, do those buttons pop for you? And if they don't, simply change the color, make sure the CTA is clear, and see what happens. This is also a really great note if you do have an opt-in page for your freebie. Changing the color of the buttons can sometimes increase conversions drastically. I've done this so many times where I've started maybe with a yellow button and then switched to an orange button and saw conversions increase sometimes by 10%. That's me capturing 10% more of people by changing a simple color. There's a lot of studies and reports out there on the impact of color on a website and getting people to take action on a freebie, on website pages, and even on checkout pages. So don't overlook this. And since I see it all the time, I wanted to make sure I included it in today's tips. Again, having your website is so important if you are building a sustainable business. And what I mean by a sustainable business is a business that lasts. A business that not only lasts month after month and brings in revenue for you and your beautiful family and all of the things that you are desiring to up-level your life and up-level your experiences, but also for years. And I know after my experience, having a website allows me to continuously get leads and make sales even when I don't feel like showing up as a content creator. And I think that's really important. Remember, the content that you ultimately create on your website, like a blog, lasts forever. And if you can implement these really awesome SEO strategies and get yourself to rank and get that traffic, that can be happening for years and years and years, which is so beautiful. And that's what I teach you how to do inside of Brandmerry Academy. I teach you how to get traffic to your website, to this home base. And of course, I'm going to teach you how to masterfully create your website, design your website, and write copy for your website so that it converts as well. We also talked a lot about opt-ins here, and that's one of the bonuses inside of the Academy as well. A funnel in a weekend bonus, which will help you design your freebie, write your email sequence, and set up all the tech in as little as 3 days. If you're ready to learn more about Brandmerry Academy, how the 12 months of marketing can support you, and the addition of monthly calls with me, you can head to brandmerry.com/academy to get more details. All right, I will be back with another episode next week. I have a special guest joining me for an interview where I'm going to be talking a little bit more about scheduling for social media. Look, I get it. It's not my major forte, but I loved this conversation where we dove a little bit deeper into some of the top tips she has for scheduling your social media content and making your life a little bit easier if you are using social media in your strategy. So I will be back for another episode next week, and I will see you then.